Being homeless sucks, but you already knew that. Cade woke up sore after sleeping on the street. He pulled his flannel around his body and shivered. Summer was going to end soon, and Cade didn't know what he was going to do. It was too cold to sleep, so Cade rounded the corner. Big mistake. "Where you going, princess?" two guys said, following a girl in a short cocktail dress as she tried to get away from them. "Leave me alone," the girl said, weakly, looking for a taxi. But there were no taxis, not in this alley. Cade knew it too well. Turning the corner had been a big mistake. Cade didn't want to have seen the situation, but now that he had to step in. He went up to the two guys and bumped into one of them. "Hey, do you have a lighter?" Cade said. The leader turned towards Cade and sneered. "Are you some kind of..." Bam! Cade hit him before he could expect it, sending him reeling towards the ground. The girl screamed and ran away, taking advantage of the moment of distraction that the two guys held. His friend punched Cade in the stomach. He keeled over when the leader got to his feet and kneed Cade in the face, knocking him to the ground. The two guys started kicking down at Cade, and Cade watched the girl round in the corner. He smiled at them with bloodied teeth. "She got away," Cade said. He laughed. One of the guys pulled out a knife. Oh God. Cade tried to get up and run away when something strange happened. A syringe went into his leg, full of a strange blue substance. Before he knew it, he was sleeping, asleep before he hit the ground. Cade woke up, inside, somewhere, in a warm bed. If he was in the hospital, he would have to get clean. If Cade didn't get a hit soon, he would start shaking. He opened his eyes. He wasn't in a hospital. The room was full of trophies. Golden trophies, strange trinkets like a puppet and a wooden mannequin, golden medals, and mounted on the wall was a purple heart medal in a glass case. That was the one medal Cade could understand. He looked away from the medal. "Are you all right?" a deep voice said. Cade looked into the shadows. He stiffened. A huge monster with black fur stood in the shadows, bigger and stronger than the biggest guy Cade had ever seen. Cade screamed and tried to get out of the bed, but it was too late. He was too weak to move. "Please don't hurt me," Cade said. He tried to shuffle off the bed when, from the shadows, the monster revealed himself. "No, please," the monster said. He was in a black leather costume with a black cape. He was a cross between a huge gorilla and a man. It was the strangest sight Cade had ever seen. He remembered rumors of people on the street talking about something like that, but he thought that they were just high. He looked at the monster's face, and instead of seeing a nightmare, he saw an expression of concern. "Please, you were helping that woman. I didn't want to send you to the hospital if you didn't have insurance. The monster said. "You're Gorilla Man." "Yes," the superhero said. "That's what the newspapers say. It's annoying because I'm half Underdark Yeti, not gorilla, but I understand the confusion. Most people don't even know what an Underdark Yeti is." This is too much. The monster put his hand out to shake. "I'm Mason." Cade fainted. He woke up to the smell of fresh eggs and bacon on a breakfast in bed tray on his hospital bed. Cade's stomach growled. Mason stood in the shadows again, wary. "You went up against those guys 2 against 1. Why?" Mason said. Cade shoveled food in his mouth without answering. "When you live in the street, you don't wait when food's in front of you." Mason smiled, watching him eat. "I keep telling my chef this breakfast food is better than he thinks. He's a bit insecure about it." Cade nodded in agreement as he kept shoveling food down his mouth. "She was gonna get hurt," Cade said. "Still, that's no reason to step in," Mason said. "You're an addict living on the street. You have no reason to help anyone other than yourself, and yet you did." "I'm not an animal," Cade said. "I thought someone like you would understand that." Mason backed away, offended. Cade knew it was stupid to go after the guy that was helping him, but he didn't care. He pointed to the purple heart on the wall. "Is that how you got injured overseas, Mason?" Cade said. "Looking out for yourself?" Mason took a step back. In the shadows, you could barely notice the black fur. "I didn't mean," Mason said. "I didn't get mine doing that either," Cade said. "I lost my medal, though. Got my knee all messed up, got hopped up on pills, and then they just forgot about me." "Who looks out for me, huh?" Cade chuckled, bitter. "Now I'm out here talking to a huge, not gorilla thing." Mason started laughing. "It's not funny." Cade started laughing too. Mason stepped into the light and put his hand out. "Thank you for your service," Mason said. Cade didn't want to cry, but he did. They worked out an arrangement. Cade kept Mason's cave spotless. He polished the walkway, polished the trophies, cleaned the computer monitor screens, and in general made the cave a good place for the superhero Gorilla Man to go during the day. He was half gorilla all the time. It's not like he could go anywhere when it wasn't nighttime, and Cade made sure that his place to live was spotless. Mason told him about his short, 9-month career as Gorilla Man. He used his super strength and intelligence to keep people safe, keeping a rule of never killing anyone. But he was concerned about something. Cade was smart enough not to ask about it. This felt like living at the shelter, Cade thought, but it felt different. Mason trusted him, made sure that he was okay. And there was only one rule of living in Mason's cave. No leaving. It had been 2 days, and Cade was losing his mind. He watched Mason train on the heavy bag, working, hitting it with the force of a Mack truck. It was impressive to watch his strength, but Cade thought about something. "You're dropping your shoulder," Cade said. "What?" Mason said. He remembered a time before he was this guy living on the street, before he was a veteran, even. Back when he stepped into a boxing ring for the first time. He tried to keep the tears in check. "You go like this," Cade demonstrated, dropping his elbow. "It telegraphs your punch to the other guy. It doesn't matter how hard you hit, he can dodge every time." Mason nodded. "I see what you're trying to do here, but it's really not necessary. I trained in 7 different martial arts. I think I'm not dropping my shoulder." "Hit me," Cade said. "Come on, you've been living on the street for I don't know how long. I'm not going to fight you." "Come on, tough guy," Cade slapped him in the face. "You think just because you're a big gorilla you know how to fight? Hit me." Mason chuckled, getting into a fighting stance. Mason swung at Cade, but he dropped his shoulder the second before. It allowed Cade a split second to duck under the punch and punch Mason in the armpit. He screamed out in pain and wrung his hand. "Impressive," Mason said. "Where did you learn all this?" Cade itched his neck. He really needed a hit. He didn't want to remember what it was like before. "Thanks for the tip," Mason said. He reached into his utility belt and injected something into his hip. "What's that?" Cade said. It looked like drugs. It looked like something he was trying to avoid. "It's just a little serum that keeps my brain in charge of my body. Without it, I tend to go a little animalistic," Mason said. "How many times you gotta do that?" Cade said. "Oh, not too bad, every 8 hours, Mason said. "I usually inject myself at the beginning and end of each shift." "What happens if you don't have it?" Cade said. "Well, then let's just hope that I'm not around anybody," Mason said. "It's been fine so far." Cade didn't know much about reading people, but he could see concern in Mason's eyes. He was terrified of losing control. "Why don't you give some to me?" Cade said. "Just in case." Mason smiled. "Sure, Cade, but just so you know, you can't get high off of it." Cade frowned. That night, Mason got ready to go on patrol. He got into the gorilla car and looked at Cade. "I'm sorry about..." "Forget it," Cade said, looking for the entrance. It had been nice and all being in here, but now it was really time for him to leave. Still, the bed was nice. One last sleep, and he would go before Gorilla Man got back. Cade went into the bed and closed his eyes. He woke up late. "Mason?" Cade said. The cave was empty. 8 hours. Oh no. Cade grabbed the vial and ran out of the front of the cave. He boosted some rich guy's Ferrari and drove as fast as he could towards the city, turning the radio on to what he already knew was happening. Gorilla Man loses his mind, terrorizes people in the center of the city. Cade put his foot on the gas. He was the only one who could help now. He had to. Gorilla Man screamed. Cops shot him in the back with their guns, and he picked up a giant trash can, throwing it at them across the square. The police barely managed to get out of the way, backing up, screaming for somebody to help. The crowd scattered, leaving only Cade holding one single syringe. "Hey, big guy," Cade said. Gorilla Man was completely feral, making grunting noises and looking around like a deer in headlights. "Okay, big guy," Cade said, facing off against Gorilla Man. "Come on." Gorilla Man jumped at him faster than he thought possible. Cade dropped the syringe and put his hands up, barely able to defend himself as Gorilla Man started wailing down on him, smashing his arms, his legs. He went down into the fetal position. The syringe was right in front of him, but Gorilla Man's attacks were brutal. He felt the pavement cracking under him. This was a horrible idea. He was out of his element. He didn't know what to do. A police siren went. Gorilla Man looked over his shoulder for a split second. That split second was all the time Cade needed. He reached out for the syringe, turned around, and stabbed Gorilla Man with the syringe right in the heart. Gorilla Man looked down at his syringe, then up at Cade. Cade chuckled. "Mommy?" a girl in the crowd said. "Is that guy going to die?" Cade looked down at his own chest and saw his ribs sticking out of his torso. He fell, and he was unconscious before he hit the pavement. Cade saw a bright light. He never believed in heaven. "Mom?" Cade said. He heard a deep voice and said, "Stay with me, Cade," Mason said. Cade opened his eyes. Gorilla Man stood next to him in a public hospital. There were flowers and cards everywhere. A card read, "Thanks for saving me." "You're still dropping your shoulder, even when you're a gorilla," Cade said, chuckling. "Shut up," Gorilla Man said, chuckling too. Cade remembered his squad getting attacked, his brother telling him to keep moving, going back to where his brother was, finding his brother's body, getting a Purple Heart medal, wanting to throw the Purple Heart into the ocean for just 1 moment, 1 second with his brother still alive. Cade thought that he would never have a brother again. He was wrong.